wrapped in a gift bag. What could it be? I thought aloud. Wow, it's a phone! I mean, 2 different lovely phones. What a birthday! Then the music was rolled and I danced and danced in my Cinderella pink gown. Unfortunately, it was a dream. How I wish this is not a mere dream, but a reality. But I believe in dreams becoming reality. I believe it will come to pass one day. Oh yes, it is my birthday. How I wish it would be celebrated in a grand style. It is funny because when I turned 16, my mom promised to buy me a phone. I kept reminding her about that until one day a strange event that I couldn't understand. Something happened after turning me around a couple of times. And for my 16th birthday, my dad wanted to buy me a phone, but my mom never wanted to see me with him or allow him to do anything for me. Note that my mom is this type of independent woman. She insisted that she wants to buy it for me, and I was happy because finally I'm going to have my own phone. On my birthday, Mom did not throw any party around for me. All I got was an early morning pat on my back and whispering, "Happy birthday, my little angel. I promise I'm going to get your phone today." Wow, that sounds interesting, and trust me, I kept reminding her that day. "Mom, my phone." On that day, I waited till evening. The waiting was too long. My mom keeps saying a bit later, but suddenly she asked me to dress up, of which I did, although she was acting as someone who was waiting for somebody, until finally she got the call from a colleague which she was waiting for, and we head to shopping. I enjoy driving with Mom, so we went in her car. We passed the store where we should stop and buy the phone. "Mom, that's the shop," I said in excitement. Rather, she apologized that she needed to visit her colleague at the castle. As a child, there are things I don't debate with Mom. We arrive at the colleague's house, and it was a big house. I loved it. He had 3 cars and 2 dogs. Mom knows that I like dogs, so she said to me, "Tiffany, you play with the dogs, and I will get back pretty quick." "Yes, Mom," I responded. I started playing with Japs and Jade. As I was engrossed in the fun, after some time another man with a big black car entered the house, and then comes another one, and after 5 minutes, another one. I was wondering what is going on. My mom came to meet this colleague, and here are 3 more visitors in there, and I'm not seeing my mom coming out. So I decided to go inside, and upon approach, no one was in the living room. It was silence except the weird noise coming from far away, and it sounded like someone is clapping. One door was opened in one of the rooms, but all of the rooms were dark or less lighted. I came closer and called Mom. No one answered. This appearance of the 3 men. They were sweating profusely, looking like men that feel in it. Oh, but I will adhere to her instructions. With my husband, well, I am, so they always let me be at all time. I'm so much quiet and reserved. I'm not the type of person who likes games or do too much on daily activities, but I like reading novels and watching a lot of movies, especially comedy movies, because since I already choose to keep to myself, I have to find a means of catching fun by myself. I attend a high school class where students have the choice to do what they like and want. Whenever I'm in class, I'm always reserved and quiet, always. But I do have friends who always love to force words out of my mouth whenever they are around me. I love going to school every day, if not for anything but for the sake of seeing my friends, because I will surely talk whenever I'm around them. On this beautiful morning when I got to class, I noticed a letter was dropped inside my locker, which was so unusual. I decided to open the letter after the class, but while the teacher was in class teaching, all my mind was on was the letter that was dropped inside my locker. Immediately when the teacher left the class, I opened it, And what I discovered was a love letter, which I did not know who dropped it there. I tried to pay so much attention to every guy I came in contact with in class so as to get who dropped the letter, but it was not too available. After a long period of staying in class during the break hour, my friends came to my seat to meet me, and then they all said we should go outside to get something. On our way out, some guys came our way, and trying to get our attention at first, I looked at all of them, thinking maybe it might be one of them that cultivated the habit of dropping the sticky note inside my locker. But with all their facial expressions, I don't think any of them can do such. They tried stopping us, not moving any step out of there, and all we just have to do is to comply. But all of a sudden, a teacher decided to come our way. Then immediately they noticed that the teacher was coming our way. They all left instantly, and we proceeded in getting what we wanted to go by. I told my friends about the sticky note I discovered inside my locker that morning, and they all laughed at me, saying maybe a guy has been stalking me all this while. They then said that one of us should try coming to school very early, so that the guy can be caught. But that guy that dropped the sticky note is just too smart and expert. We tried for days, but we could not get the guy. So I told the ladies to forget the issue, that I'm very sure that one day he will surely reveal his identity. As time goes on, it became a regular routine. Every blessed morning when I get to my seat, I will surely find a sticky note with a love quote inside my locker. At some point, I got annoyed and frustrated, but there's no point yelling because I did not know who was doing such a thing. So I decided to stomach it, and I did not tell it to anyone. One day during school hour, a teacher at school was explaining to us a physics experiment, and he made it as a game because he wanted all the students to participate and be carried along. During this process, all students participating closed their eyes and tasted, perceived, and some liquids to tell what it is based on their taste. It was quite fun because all students were carried along for the first time at school, and we all laughed where someone guessed wrong because we all gave various answers, knowing fully well that our tasting boards are different. I really enjoyed the class that day because it was so much different. The following day in class was Friday, so a group of people in class came together and discussed that we should have a get-together party on Saturday, which is the following day. So they asked the whole class about their opinion concerning the party. To my surprise, everyone was happy to hear that they all turned in. Well, as for me, having a get-together party on Saturday, though the plan was a little bit awkward to me, because I don't really like associating myself with things like that, because I so much love keeping to myself. A venue was picked, and all plan was so fascinating and lovely. Actually, I love the plan because I want to see how it will look for the first time by the beach side, so I decided to hang out that day. When I got home that day, I told my mom about the plan of going to the beach the following day. She was so happy to hear that because she's never seen me going out before. So that night, my mom came into my room and went directly to my wardrobe to select the clothes I will be putting on the following day. When it comes to selecting clothes for an event, my mom is very good at it, and she so much loves me. But at the same time, I didn't want to join. I simply refused. But then I thought of it that I am the one who is really good in tasting things and smell very good, so I later decided and went, and he didn't smell at all. They all smiled. Walked me home. He explained to me that it was a banana, but still yet, I disagree. I just told him to close the discussion. When I got told, this is the reason why I didn't want to participate in the game earlier. See what it all turns out to be? Please let me know in the comments if you think they've changed the object, or am I just thinking wrong?
Sweet seed from...
To the checkout counter. As I gave the $10 about that mistake that I had just made, and in that very second I was filled with nothing but feelings of guilt and regret. As I was about to leave the store, I saw my father, who was there to buy a newspaper. He was standing behind me in the checkout counter, and he gave the cashier a $20 bill. The cashier gave him $10 back. Coincidentally, it was the same $10 bill that I had just given to the cashier. I still remember hearing my heart beat at that moment. My dad asked me what I was doing there. I told him, I came to buy a book. Do the good deeds, so we must avoid such vices and spend only what is ours. I also learned that guilt is a lot to bear. And if a person starts doing these types of things at a very young age,
no,
they'll
not
do
really.
even worse things in the future.
You can
and destroy
control
their
guilt.
whole life.
You're just a
It might look
weak
really small this
cunt.
time, but as
Goody
we know,
tissues.
single drops of water creates.
What do we do today? DD check the Connor, bro. You ever wonder what you would do if the test came back? No, I don't know. I'm not really sure how I'm feeling. I think that's okay.
Please like and share this video, and let me know in the comment section if you think I should tell my parents, or if you think I should have told them earlier. And
Good
don't forget to
tissues you
subscribe
are.
and hit the bell icon.
No wonder you don't have any girls or girlfriends. Because of your goody tissues. You're just disgusting.
The Good Guys No Laundry give your clothes new life with layers made to care laundry range, featuring chemical-free refresh technology and UV.
My girlfriend is pregnant, and I'm only 15 years old.
Huh.
Hi, I'm Matt, and I want to talk to you about something that happened a couple years ago that changed my life forever. I remember I was in junior year, and we were all very stressed out because we didn't know who to invite to the prom. At that time, that was the most important thing. And since I was a basketball player, it was even harder because I had to pick the sexiest girl, and I was afraid of being rejected. One day during the internship, I saw a girl sitting there. She looked gorgeous.
Pilot's metabolic racing.
Ariana Charleston here, and welcome back to another Storytime video. Growing up in a foster care home until I turned 18 did a number on me. I learned at a very ripe age the harsh reality of the world. I used to run away from foster care a lot before the police would bring me back. During those times, I realized that no one wanted me. While people came to adopt children, they would breeze by me without even batting an eye. And when I got older, it became more evident. It made me angry at the world, and it hurt my self-esteem, too. I became an outcast. For example, I would start to fight with others. If you ever looked at me the wrong way or I didn't like you, I wasn't scared to put you in your place. As a result, I never lost a fight and often spent my time in the hospital with the doctor, who would lecture me as he patched me up. He would scold me, but I would come back with more bruises, scratches, and broken bones a few days later. Really? Dr. Jones sighed, shaking his head. Where are your parents? I don't have one, I snarled out. I don't need your help either. You need to take these 2 times a day, Dr. Jones said, ignoring my comment as he finished wrapping me up. Really, I didn't understand why he's even doing this, as I don't have the money to even pay for Medicare. In fact, he seemed to be paying out of pocket. Be sure also to get something to eat beforehand. Do you need money for food? I don't need your money. So, I was rather shocked when someone did adopt me. I was convinced it was a joke until the place's caretaker told me to pack my things to meet with my new family. Doing so, I already made a plan to run away by the end of the night. Stepping out of the foster home, I'm surprised to find Dr. Jones there waiting for me alone. Have you... home? After getting home, I'm shocked at how big his place was. This is your place? I asked, baffled. Your place too, he corrected. Let me show you your room, and I'll ask the maid to get you something to eat. Do you prefer anything in particular? Pizza? He nodded. Great, to a regular school, but I wasn't going to allow anyone to bully me. So without thinking twice, I decided that I would be the school leader and be famous. But, of course, I was more than okay with pulling every single trick in the book to gain fame. As it turned out, it didn't require that much work. I'm sitting alone during lunch with the food Dr. Jones packed for me when one of the most popular jocks approached me. Well, everyone liked him as he's good-looking, but to me, he's just average. Nothing about him stood out to me, to be quite honest. Hey there, beautiful, what's your name? he questioned. In case you didn't know, my name's Evan. I'm the football team's quarterback. At that, I put down my sandwich. What do you want? I like how straight to the point you are, he chuckled. I want you... Pass. I simply replied before I focused on my sandwich once more.
Have another join.
What? Do you know who I am? He asked, shocked as he slammed the table. Immediately, people turned their heads to stare over at us. At that, I couldn't help but laugh. He probably thinks that not a lot of people would turn him down with ease. Well, he didn't know that I didn't care about their status or who he is either. It's all about the survival of the fittest. I don't care. He goes quiet before he swallowed. How much? God, I didn't even realize how desperate he sounded until that moment. It's then that I realized how I could play him to my advantage. If I can control him, there's a possibility that I would be able to be famous. I wanted fame for one reason and one reason only. To be in control of my situation. So I grabbed his jacket and led him to the closet, realizing how rich I am, and even offered me more things to take a picture or do it with them. I never really turned people down and would often get smuggled birth controls as well. Another good plus side was that people started to recognize me. It turned out that many girls wanted to know my skincare routine. They started to hang out with me because they wanted to see what the big deal was about revolving around me. In 4 months, I became so well known around town. I created a model around my body, and I knew my beauty right away when I started to do makeup. After all, I have flawless good skin, and I got along with everyone. I knew the hardship of the real world and never got scammed by anyone or anything. I was practically like a goddess with no filter. I never catered to anyone, and I guess many people liked it. And I wasn't going to let anyone get me out of this high, so I started to dress better, made myself look more presentable. By this time, many people trying to find and seek my advice. There's no way Dr. Jones would have been okay with what I was doing, so I kept it hidden until one day. Hey, Ari, Dr. Jones said one day as he popped into my room. Can we have a talk? Yeah. In my head, he was just jealous of the fame and easy money I was getting. After all, haters are gonna hate. While I had to work grueling hours, I did the same amount or even more doing things that I wanted. Not only was it easy, but it's fun too. One person that went to help me when I had nothing, Dr. Jones. Have you ever had to set away your pride to ask for help? I thought he would judge me or throw me onto the street, but he didn't judge me or even said, I told you so. Instead, he embraced me and got me the help I needed that I will forever be thankful for. 2 years later, I can say happily that I'm doing much better. Of course, I suffer from my own nightmares caused by my time at foster care, but I didn't go through it alone. Dr. Jones not only became my guardian that made me look at life differently, but he makes me sound entitled or makes me sound like the typical feminine Hello, my name is Alita. Bred and raised in Paris my whole life. Growing up, I felt like I was always different from other girls. I know it makes me sound entitled or makes me sound like the typical feminine stereotype. Hear me out, though. When I grew up, guys and sometimes girls would always be jealous of my look. No matter where I went, people stopped and stared at me. People even approached me as I got older, asking about my skincare routine and so forth. Here's the thing, I don't have one. I have flawless skin, and whatever I wear looks good on me. I could be wearing a trash bag and make it look good due to my body structure. Many random people would ask me out, and even on social media, many would follow me in hopes of asking me out. Even though I'm 18 and legal, guys as old as 50 would ask me out. They promised me the world like material goods, free travels, and so forth. The craziest part? They wouldn't even ask me to go into bed with them. Some are more than fine with just a picture or video from me. Some even asked that if I donated 5 minutes of my life every week, I could get an allowance of $1,000 to $2,000. To date, I said no because I don't feel comfortable with it. Not to mention, it's against my moral compass to lead people on like that. So I'm fine posting pictures of myself here and there, but never sending private photos, videos, or phone calls to someone. As you saw from the title of this story, my mom realized just how fast she could get rich because of it. Growing up, my mom and I were very close since Dad walked out on us. She worked as a waitress as she got pregnant at 15 and had to drop out of school. I'm forever grateful for her and what she's done to make sure I have a good life. We live in a small trailer with one bed, a small kitchen area, and with the bare necessities of clothes. I was okay with the way we were living, but I know my mom wasn't. She wanted to have money and move into a luxury high-rise. I realized that as I got older, she started to act a bit differently around me. You are the next Venus, she would muse with a smile. Goodness, you look as if you stepped out of a Vogue magazine, she giggled while brushing my hair. One day we were sleeping on the same bed when she turned to me. Tears were in her eyes, and I gasped. I'd never seen her cry before, so I couldn't help but be concerned. Mom, what's wrong? I got fired, baby, she wailed, bringing me close. I was fired from my job just 2 weeks ago. I don't know how I'll pay for the rent due in 2 days. My mouth hung even lower. What? Why didn't you tell me earlier? I didn't want to worry you with your finals coming up, she objected, sniffling. I went to job interviews, but none are hiring. So we need to scrap up €5,000 or we will be homeless. How can I even help? I asked, feeling slumped. Is there anything I can do? There's no way someone would hire me and pay me 2 weeks ahead of time when the rent is due in 2 days. The trailer park is very strict with late payments. I go to a public school and no one would have €500 laying around either. That's when my mom shuffled in the bed and peered up at me. There's something you can do for me, my little beauty. There is, I questioned, frowning. Do you trust me? She questioned. Looking back, I should have asked what she meant, but instead I just agreed and allowed her to take pictures of me. She would tell me to pose a certain way, and I thought it was just trying to get me into some modeling gigs online. A few days later, we were able to not only afford a roof over our head, but even some good dinner, too. I was beyond shocked at all the money my mom seemed to be harboring. How did you manage to get enough for rent and buy all these items, too? I got a new job, she beamed. From now on, we're going to do great things together, my beauty. For a while, I guess I lived in ignorant bliss. I just believed that anything my mom had said, she never had terrible intentions for me. Whenever I asked my mom why she was taking so many photos of me, she would just smile. Is it for a modeling agency that's interested in me? I questioned as she put me into another skimpy dress. I'm okay with modeling in hopes of landing a few commercials or even a television series, as that meant being able to help my mom. Raise your arms a bit, she smiled. In just 4 months, Mom moved us out of the trailer park and into a nice apartment. Not only that, but she was able to buy luxury handbags that I didn't think we could ever afford. It's then I started to get a little suspicious as to where she was working. So I decided to skip school one day to follow her around. I wanted to see where she was working, and to my surprise, she didn't even go to work. No, she went back home instead. Luckily, we have a vast department store just across the street, so I would go there and look in while squinting my eyes to see her talking on the phone happily or seeming to send pictures. It was only after she got up, throwing the laptop on the bed, that I realized just what I was seeing. My stomach churned, and I couldn't believe it. There seemed to be thousands of photos of me in various positions that she took of me. There's even a few where I took selfies on her phone and somewhere I was sleeping. What the heck, right? I'm freaking out at this point, but I couldn't believe it. Quickly, I took out my phone and logged into Instagram. I haven't been on since school started because I wanted to focus on education. However, I see many private messages from guys asking if this other account was real. Sure enough, I see it's an account that had photos I've never posted before. It's the photos my mom took of me. I felt so gutted and disgusted by her action. She invaded my privacy and went on to catfish guys and pretend to be me to get attention from guys. Not even that, but money, bags, and so. Why are you home? I asked instead, trying to catch her in the act. What are you doing on the computer? She waved off my question. Just work things. They're very private, so I can't show you. Finally, I couldn't do it anymore. I mean, this is my mom, the person who I trusted to protect me and be my best friend as well. I felt violated, and almost as if the person in front of me was just a stranger. She had stopped wearing comforting clothing for fashion brands only with the money she didn't even deserve either. Really? I snarled. Are you seriously going to lie to me right now, Mom? I know, I interjected, crossing my arms. Please don't try to play innocent. I know what you're doing. You're using my pictures to catfish others, aren't you? Do you have no shame? That's an invasion of privacy, too. You are also committing fraud. I thought my mom would apologize or look guilty. No. To my horror, her face complexion started to shift. My mom usually smiles a lot and is very goofy with me, yet right now she looked to be furious. Well, I wouldn't have to if you had just done it from the start. Like, did you have to be such a goody two-shoe from when you could make money doing things like talking to a few guys and sharing some photos? People would kill for that type of lifestyle. I'm stunned by the heat and hate in her words. It's wrong. It's not wrong, she snorted, shaking her head. You are essentially the next Venus. You are the epiphany of beauty, and yet you just had to be so selfish. If you had just started an OnlyFans or just gave some photos away, we wouldn't have been struggling. You are to take my photos down right now and apologize to those men, I demanded. Right now. You can't make me, she hissed before using her hand to gesture around the apartment. I'm able to put a roof over your head because of me. I gave up my life to raise you. I could have aborted you. You owe me that much, she yelled, storming up to my face. What are you going to do about it? It's then I realized there really is nothing I could do. I felt like what she said was right. She did give up a lot for me. She raised me and gave... This was your mom, and you know how happy... me. I'm not...
Horror stories you'd read in the... Hi, this is Claire, and I have a story to tell you. This is no fairy tale happy ending story either. This is one of those horror stories you'd read in the dark. Let me start from the beginning. My mother met my father through her work, as they were co-workers. After a few interactions and meetings outside of work, they fell deeply in love with each other. They were an exclusive item for nearly 3 years before they finally got married. Looking at their wedding photos, it's clear that they were so in love with each other. They looked so happy, like it was the best day of their lives. I
Who's your
remember wishing
daddy?
I
You
could one
are.
day find
You
that kind
goddamn
of
right,
happiness
bitch.
with another person.
I'm your daddy.
They were like the ideal couple,
Master.
both good-looking and
Yes,
completely dedicated to each
definitely.
other.
You
Around
goddamn
2
right,
years
hoe.
after they got married,
You're my
my mother
hoe.
fell pregnant. They were both
Yeah.
thrilled at the news. I felt a cold sensation of numbness over my body, which was
Hmm.
probably me going into shock. I understood this meant my mother was dying, and I tried to wrap my head around that. I didn't understand how this could have happened, how no one noticed this aggressive cancer until it was too late. Why did it have to be her? Why did it have to be my loving, wonderful mother, who always showed kindness to everyone she met?
Because
Why
life
did
isn't
good people
fair,
have to get such
bitch.
horrible illnesses?
Get it in your
I
head.
was angry at the world,
Life isn't
angry at the
fair.
doctors. I was angry with everything.
Life
It wasn't fair.
is
Life
death.
isn't fair.
And death
I
is
shouted this to her,
life.
and she just gave me a teary smile.
Everyone has to die at some
She
point.
comforted me, like I
You
was the one
dumb
who needed it.
bitch.
She had gotten news that she was dying, and here she was still worrying over others.
Fuck.
I cried with her most of that
Everyone has to
night,
die
terrified
at
she wouldn't
some
be
point, you
there
dumb
if I went to
bitch.
sleep. After the news of her diagnosis, in the following months, my mother just seemed off. Her bubbly, cheerful disposition
When my
had
dog
vanished
died when I was
and
young,
replaced with a brooding, depressed
I
look.
didn't cry.
Her energy
Because
level
I
was
know
almost
life is
depleted,
death and
much
death
different
is
from her
life.
normal, energetic attitude.
Without
My
life, there
brother
will
and
be
I
no
would go to
death.
school every day.
Without
My
death,
father
there will
would head
be
to
no
work.
life.
Whenever we got back home, several hours later, she was always in the same position we left her. She would either be lying in bed or on the couch, not having moved an
When
inch,
I was
probably the whole
13
time,
years old,
not
my
even to
dog
eat.
died.
She had a hard time
Like I
finding
said, I
food
don't have to tell you everything
Really,
about
the treatment
me.
itself was more to buy her more time rather than cure it.
If I want to tell
She
you
spent
guys,
those
I
months
will
in a
tell you
breakout,
more about me.
progressively deteriorating before our eyes. She became sickly pale. Her eyes were sunken in and had dark bags under them. She lost so much weight. Her eyes were haunting to look at for me, like she was judging the lives we were living while she was forced to lie there and expire. I hardly even recognized her anymore, and it pained me right down to my soul. It was soon after that she had to be taken into the hospital under palliative care. She spent a few weeks there in the hospital under end-of-life care and died after that. She passed away only a few days
I can tell
after
you
mine and my
what
brother's 13th birthday.
will make
I
her
knew
better.
life would never be
Dick.
the same after that, and it felt like a little piece of me had died with her. It was around 2 years later when my dad got serious with another woman. Her
So
name
another
was Natalie,
join.
and he seemed to have a new lease on life dating her. I honestly didn't really care for her at all. She was no replacement for my mother, and she never would be. My father once sat me and my brother down in the living room, eagerly asking us what we thought of her. Me and my brother exchanged a look before smiling back at him. I told him that if he was happy, then we were happy as well. I didn't like lying, especially to my father, but he had looked so happy. He hadn't looked happy since before my mother died, and I didn't want to spoil that for him. So, I just went along with it for his sake. He soon then married her, and I kept pretending to be happy for him. There was a bitterness in my heart for this woman, but I kept it quiet so my father could be happy. I decided that I would never treat her like a mom, as she would never be my mom, but I could treat her like a stepmother. She deserved that chance at the very least. It wasn't long after this that my stepmother gave birth. She had a chubby little baby girl, and I thought she was pretty cute. I was willing to love her, just like my other sibling. Things seemed to change, however, as my father soon loved the little baby with everything in his heart. So much so that there was no longer room in there for me or my brother. He just seemed to despise us now, like we were in the way of his new family now. I couldn't understand what had happened, what had gone wrong. My father had always loved the both of us, but now he treated us like we were burdens. That bitterness inside me grew exponentially. and I started to hate that little baby. I knew it wasn't her fault, but it was so hard not to feel hatred, knowing she was the source of all my problems. One day, I confronted my dad about this and accused him of playing favorites. I was indignant about how he treated me and my brother. He barely flinched before open palm smacking me across the face. I felt betrayed and validated by his behavior. It was clear that I had been correct in my accusations, and I lost all remaining respect and love for my father. I was so enraged that I locked myself in my room and screamed and threw things the rest of the afternoon. I had heard shouted curses at everything on this earth that had contributed to taking my mother from me, and then my father. I think I blacked out that night, as I don't remember much else. I only remember waking up on my floor at about 2 a.m., surrounded by broken pieces of my table lamp. I didn't really care. I was completely numb. My brother had grown more and more concerned about my new anger toward the world and my now violent outbursts. He knew I was hurting and depressed, and he just wanted to help me. He told me about a party he was going to, and I just waved him off with disinterest. He was stubborn, though, and he eventually forced me to attend the party with him. I dressed in all black, a scowl on my face, as I was determined to not enjoy a single moment of the outing. I was doing a pretty good job of having a horrible time, too, until I met someone unexpectedly. It was a guy around my age who looked equally uncomfortable at this party. He sat down with me, and we lamented the fact that we were even here at this party. I vented my own irritations at him, and we wound up exchanging numbers by the end of our conversation. Even after the party was over, I decided that I would try and stay in contact with him. I started to text him daily, little greetings and questions about how his day was. I felt a bit of happiness when I got to talk with him, and eventually we started to meet up in person as well. I enjoyed our times out, talking about how stupid people were, and about the pointless rat race that was life. One day, while we were sitting on the roof of his car, watching the sunset, he told me he loved me. I wasn't sure if I loved him, but I liked him a lot, and I didn't want to just leave him hanging. I said it back, and he looked content. One day, my mother had gone off to the hospital with my little demon of a baby sister. She had a cough or something insignificant, and my father was currently working at his job. My brother was at school, and I decided to skip the moment I knew both my parents wouldn't be home. My boyfriend then called me, asking if I had skipped school as well. We laughed about it a moment, and I told him he could come by my house to hang out, since there was no one there. I let him into my home when he came over, and led him upstairs to my room.
Get up for a
I figured
second.
we'd talk
Got
some
it.
more, blare some loud rock music, and just enjoy each other's company. He closed the door to my room behind him, and walked over to where I was sitting on the bed. He just kind of
just put
stood
a
over me a
champagne.
moment.
Okay. Let's pause it. I wonder, is there a button? Yeah, there's a button. Turn you off. Let's reprogram you. You're gonna be 5 years old. There we are, 5 years old. And what her new name is gonna be. What her new name is gonna be. What her new name is gonna be. Which I'll be doing Sophia. Your name is Sophia and you're still good at cooking and stuff like that. Should she be related to me or not? Which one? Should she be related to me or not really? Yeah, you're gonna be my great great ancestor. There we are. Teenager years. No, kids years. There we are. Turn on. Hey. Hey, grandson. Hey, great-grandson. Good girl. Come on, sit down, baby bitch. Sure. Good girl. I know. Who's your baby Christy girl? I am. I'm your ancestor, but young. Yep. And I'm an android, too. You got that right, you hoe. Yep, Daddy.
Making me a bit nervous at his closeness. I was about to ask him what he was doing when he suddenly kissed me. That shut me up pretty quick, and I put my arms around his neck and kissed him back. We kissed and made out for what was probably half an hour, but it felt a lot shorter than that. It seemed like only minutes passed before
Who's
he was
your
pulling
daddy?
away.
You
and
are.
The time had stopped as
Good.
he pushed me back onto my bed.
How many
We
dicks
made
have
love
you had
after
in
that,
you?
and it was overall
You
a
programmed
pretty good
me
day.
to have
It was a couple
none.
weeks later that I started feeling sick. I was constantly nauseous, and I was exhausted
Get up
all
again.
the time. I missed my period
Got
as
it.
well, and started to realize these were symptoms of pregnancy. At school, on my way to my next
Pause it. Turn you off again. Open up. Program 1,090,000 dicks in her. And her pussy's loose and very sore. There we are. Close it. Turn on. Welcome back. Thanks, Daddy. You're welcome. Push play.
class. I even fainted in the hallway. I woke up
So,
in the hospital.
how
where
many
only my
dicks you
brother
had
bothered to
in
come and
you?
see me. He had this look on his face.
1,090,000,000.
I was terrified, as I was too young to
Good.
know how to take care of a baby. I wouldn't be convinced into aborting it, however, as it wouldn't be fair. I
You're
laid
my
down
hoe.
into the deed, so I
I
had to suffer
know.
the consequences. I begrudgingly told my father the news, and that night I was kicked out onto the streets. I felt betrayed.
You're my
As my brother
bitch. You're
didn't
my
even try to
skanky
defend
hoe.
me or fight to keep me there.
I know,
I
Daddy.
was all alone, pregnant
You got
and
them
homeless
what,
now.
bitch?
I called my boyfriend sobbing, telling him everything that had happened. I expected him to also abandon me, and I wouldn't have blamed him, but he didn't. He was the first person who supported me and told me he would come by and pick me up. He would allow me to live with him, and he would stay there for me and the baby. I felt almost dizzy with relief at this. I moved what little I had into his house and vowed to never step foot back into my dad's home for the rest of my life. I struggled being pregnant and going to school, but I managed to do it. I had to get serious about an education to be able to get a job to support my family. 9 months later, and I gave birth to a healthy baby girl. I named her Adeline, and I instantly loved that little bean with all my heart. I learned that my boyfriend had called to tell my father and brother the news, and to offer them a time to come and see me. I was irate at this, as I didn't want them involved in mine or my baby's life whatsoever. It turns
There's
out
another
I
joint.
had nothing to worry about though, because despite the offer he gave them, nobody came.
Hi everyone, this is Minnie from Nevada. Thanks for clicking on this video to hear this story that I call my crazy life. Before I go ahead and get started, make sure to subscribe and like this video. It'll make our channel grow, and it makes you part of our family too.
Fuck
Now
off.
let's get started. Growing up, I was the chubby girl in my class. While most girls were skinny and beautiful, I was quite fat. It had to do with the way my diet is because of my parents. Since they always work, I grew up on fast food and microwavable food too. And because of that, it really affected my weight. The only person that was nice to me at my high school was Dash. He's the high school's jock and soccer player. I have no idea why he was paying attention to me when he had so many skinny and beautiful cheerleaders that wanted him. He made sure to always talk to me and make me feel comfortable around the school when I didn't
You're
have
my
many friends.
queen.
One day, he surprised me.
Sex bot.
Hey, he said,
I
rubbing the back
know.
of his head. You want to come over after school to my place? Really? I said, surprised. Why? I just went to clean the pool and fill it. We can swim and just hang out.
Can
He
you
invited
gag me and choke me?
I don't know.
My
I trailed off, blushing. I didn't like how I looked compared to him.
grandson?
While he had a six-pack, I had nothing but fat and chubbiness.
Sure.
Please, he begged, with his signature smile that made my heart flutter. I sighed, knowing I couldn't say no to that face.
Let me try
Fine.
something. Your
After school, I
name
felt giddy.
is...
I went home to change into my bathing
What's
suit
your
because I
old
lived only
name?
across the street.
Okay, I
When I
did.
got there, I went to the back of his house and opened the back
Now,
door
your
where
new
his
name
was,
is
and
gonna
then
be
froze.
Cohen.
I thought only Dash was going
Okay,
to be
my
there.
name is
What
Cohen
I
now.
didn't expect was that
Good.
the head cheerleader and her friends
The
were
rest
there.
is the
We all
same,
went quiet,
but yeah,
staring
your
at one another
name
before
is
Laura laughed
Cohen
crazily as
now.
she pointed at my body.
Dan,
I told you the
love you,
little piggy
baby
would wear a
Cohen.
two-piece.
love you too,
Laura
my
laughed. I
great
froze as our friends laughed. Then
grandson.
even Dash chuckled as my stomach churned in horror. I went to cover my flabby belly
Who's
in
my
shame, but it
hoe?
was no use.
I am Daddy.
Tears threatened my eyes. What?
You got them
Who
right.
invited you, loser?
You're my bitch
Laura
hoe.
snickered. Right, Dash? Dash quieted for a moment, and I held my breath.
Yeah, buddy.
He was the one who invited me, and I wanted him to
You're
say it.
fucking
Instead, he pushed his hair back and laughed along
Yep.
with them. Did you honestly think I would
So,
invite
how
you because I
far
like
do you want my dick to
My
go?
heart stopped beating as I looked at
Although
him.
I am, but be careful
you.
because my pussy
Laura giggled,
is
holding her stomach as her friends rolled
what
their eyes
was
and my
it?
pathetic words rolled out of
Loose
my mouth.
and
Oh my
sore.
god, she
For
actually
how
thinks she's
many
invited
dicks
me
I
because she
had
has a
in
chance with
me?
you? He
I'm
made
gonna
a face
fuck you
of pure
hard.
disgust that shook me to my core.
I'm your
Hell
I'm
no,
your
I don't
garden
date
alpha.
fat
You
people.
do what I say.
Without thinking twice,
Okay,
I
got
turned and
it.
ran back
Good
home.
girl.
I bumped into Dash's dad, but I didn't even have the courage to look him in the eyes. I murmured an apology before
Who's
running.
my baby girl?
For the
I
next
am.
3 days, all I did